Um, do I have to say that over again? No. I want to welcome everybody. Thank you very much for spending a little bit of time with us this morning. As most of you are aware, this is formally the Government Affairs Council meeting. We really, took a deeper dive at the, chamber board level and looked at it and said, you know what, this is truly a civic engagement. And so we want to make sure that we are, definitely welcome and inclusive of, all entities that help make this city great. So first, I'd like to kick it off with some of our council members for introductions. Like I said, my name is Corinne Busta. I am Government Affairs for Cox Communications. And then this is our chair.
Jim Benedetti, landscape architect, board member of the chamber.
Then do you want to introduce yourself?
Great. Joe Gabaldon, San Diego Gas and Electric.
And Diana Cutler from Senator Blake Spear's office.
And I'm Emily Andrade. I'm on the school board in Encinitas.
Wonderful. Thank you. And so what I'd like to do is I'm going to introduce, actually, first and foremost, we're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. So I know most of you probably have a flag in your home, I'm sure, but if not, we are all going to stand in the room here and say the Pledge of Allegiance. So right hand over your heart, ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wonderful, thank you. So I don't.
Can you see all the people on the screen? I just want to make sure you have the right video in the room.
Yes, we can. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
So I don't know if you're all aware, but we had some elections last year. And to my right, we have Mayor Bruce Ellers, who won his bid to be mayor of City of Encinitas. He was also, prior to that, city councilman representing the areas of Olivenhain and has just been a force in the city with positive change and is very, very well respected in the city of Encinitas. And I couldn't be more honored for him to kick off 2025 and being our special guest speaker. So I'll open the floor to the mayor, and then afterwards we'll have like a short 10-minute Q&A. So Mayor, I'll turn it over to you.
Sherry, where do you want me sitting for the video? Right here? It's sitting okay?
Perfect.
You want me standing?
No, you're perfect. It's fine.
Okay, cool.
Thank you.
So just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, this is week number 8 or 9. So it's been drinking from a fire hose. It's been fun and I'm enjoying myself. So I thought I'd go through what's new, what's upcoming, and then a vision, because really I haven't had that much that I've done yet other than what we've done in the last couple of years. So what's new, and then and after the vision, we'll do the Q&A. So in recent actions, of course, we talked about that we have 2 new council members. If you haven't met Jim O'Hara from District 2 or Luke Schaefer from District 1, they're new on the council. They're new to the city. They haven't been involved a whole lot before. So you think I'm drinking? I think I'm drinking from a fire hose. I know they are quite fast. We also, in our last meeting, appointed a new council member to replace me, the District 4 representative, and that's Marco San Antonio. So he was in his first meeting yesterday, a closed session, and he'll be at the meeting next Wednesday on the 12th. So we have now 3 out of the 5 council members are new meat or freshly minted. I like to call them freshly minted, so we'll go with that. Marco San Antonio is a local business owner. So he owns One Day Signs downtown. So he's ideal. I don't know if he's a member of the chamber. Hopefully he is. If he isn't, we will have to induct him. But he also has some previous experience in that he was on the Olivenhain Water District for 2 years. So he's an elected official there. He did have to resign from that in order to take this position. He grew up here in Encinitas and is a resident of Olivenhain. And he's also a retired Orange County Reserve firefighter. And it was funny because during the discussion that night, the opposition to him were trying to make a big deal about being a reserve firefighter. And it actually endeared me to him. I thought, wait, you go running into buildings, burning buildings for no pay? You're perfect for city council. I can't think of anything would qualify you more. No pay, you run into burning buildings. Hey, what the heck? So I think he's going to be a great addition. We also, you may have heard, we have a new city manager, a interim city manager. Most of you know our former city manager left. It was mutually agreed to separation. And with that, we elevated the interim, the assistant city manager to, and I always have to get the terms correct, to interim city manager. And what I wanted to do is I want to make sure we had all 5 council members here before we decide whether we're going to recruit, whether we're going to take the interim city manager and make her the permanent city manager. Why? No city manager wants to start their job with 4 out of 5. You just, want to have 5 out of 5 when you get hired and work from there, because obviously the city manager works for the 5 of us. So they're always working to that majority, that consensus. So Jennifer Campbell, our former assistant city manager, is now in the position of interim city manager. And she's expressed interest in the permanent role too. So, and I think she brings a lot of energy to the role. The other things in recent council action, we took an action on the Santa Fe Drive streetscape where we paused it. We paused it at a logical stopping point, not halfway or not. It's almost finished. It was about $600,000 that we saved back, and we still have the money and we still plan to move forward. But the idea is there've been a lot of questions about the design, the width of the road, and whether it's going to flow properly. And so we want to finish it, get the orange cones down, and then spend about 2 months evaluating whether it's flowing, whether it's working, and decide at that point in a public meeting what we need to do. So it's not quite completely brought to that point. So probably in about 2 weeks, in the next 1 to 2 weeks, we should have all the cones down and it should be operating. Actually watch and everybody can agree it works great, or it needs this tweak or this fix. So and then we would continue based on any changes we have to do or finishing out what was always planned. Another item that we talked about was the mature tree ordinance. This is an ordinance to help preserve our canopy, our mature tree canopy here in the city. We put it on, we actually continued it to a future meeting. And in fact, what we're going to do is take it back to Planning Commission and have 1 or 2 more public hearings. Why? We got a lot of feedback, and it was from the commercial people. It was from multifamily owners of apartment buildings and the Quail Botanic Gardens. They felt that they didn't know what was coming, and they didn't know. So we said we'll just take more time, and it's not stopping it, it's not reversing it. It is to make sure we get the public input on the policy. So what's coming? Next area is what's coming. First and foremost, mark your calendars, February 24th and 25th. We'll have an offsite at the community center that will be our city council strategic goal setting session. We do this every year. This is going to be an especially important one because of the changes in council. We have some new council members that haven't been through this before. We have some new direction. And so this is traditionally marks the beginning of our budget cycle. So you start in February, decide what you want to do in the next year, make sure you get the goals all down. And then as we go through the budget hearings, and we'll have several budget hearings on city council nights, building up to adopting a budget in June. That starts the fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th of 2025 to 26. Let's see. And public input, including chamber input, if you so inclined, you can either mail it in or you can come to the meeting, and the first hour or 2 of the meeting will be public input. And it traditionally always has been that way. At the another item, at the next city council meeting on Wednesday, February 12th at 6 p.m. is the appeal of the Quail Meadows Apartments. This is the largest apartment project Encinitas has ever seen. 448 units. It's huge. It's gone through 3 iterations. One of the initial ones was like 7 stories. It's down to 4 stories. So that's only 1 above the current zoning, but it's going to be, I'm sure it'll be a barn burner night. I'm sure there'll be a lot of public input. It's the only action item on the agenda. So we're going to be very focused on it. I purposely it is the 12th, next Wednesday, 6 p.m. right here. It was originally scheduled like the week after the second meeting, after we all got on board. We would have only had 4 council members there. But Joy is recused, so we would have only had 3. And it takes 3 to adopt an action in this case. And so any one of us being sick would have been a problem. So I purposely pushed it off until we would have all 5 council members available, at least in this case 4, because 1 is recused. And because of new state law, that we cannot continue this. So there's a limit now on any, it's called SB 330 streamlined project, and this is one of them, that there's a maximum of 5 public hearings, and this is the 5th. So the planning commission meetings counted, the continuation counted, and this would be number 5. So if for some reason we were unable to come to an action, it would automatically approve at that point. Let's see, the last item of what's coming is the home electrification fair. And that'll be Saturday, February 22nd, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And this is at the Encinitas Community and Senior Center. This is a community special event open to the public with representatives from equipment suppliers, service providers, contractors, utilities, incentive programs, community programs, and even your local city government. And the idea is to provide the tools for people to move from petroleum-based to electrification. And so it'll be a fair that anybody can attend. I plan to be there. So let's see. So that brings me on to future goals. And so I'm going to put one caveat here. This is my vision and subject to the other 4 council members. We will consolidate this vision and goals at the February 24th and 25th goal setting session, as I talked about. And as many of you know, the election resulted in a significant shift in council. And I expect the upcoming goal setting session will reflect that shift and will shift back to, in my opinion, basics and fundamental government city services taking a higher priority. And I think that's important. So since we have not discussed the council goals yet, and I am but 1 of 5 votes, I don't know, mayor gets 1 vote, not 1.1, not 1.5, 1 vote. I'll have to give you my goals and then we'll go from there. So with that, I'll give you my vision. First and foremost, local control, not Sacramento control. The state has been taking away our ability to implement land use, zoning, et cetera. And we need to get that back. So we have, I always like to ask the question, how many people know what SB 9 is? Just show of hands. So not many. And some are aware, but SB 9 was one of the laws that was passed that basically takes away single family zoning. On a single family lot in Encinitas, most of the single family lots in Encinitas, they can be subdivided now. So even though you're at the minimum size lot, it can be divided in half, sold separately. On each half, you can put a duplex. That's 4 units. All right, all legal, all much higher density than what was allowed there. Each one of those units can have an ADU associated with it. If you read the papers, you'll see this is going rampant down around the college area. That they are huge. Where 8-unit blocks are going up or one house, one single family zoning. Imagine if you lived next door to that, what you would feel like. And I'll tell you, 2 years ago, when I started talking about this, people didn't believe me. I would say it, I'd go door to door and people would, yeah, sure, Bruce, you're radical, you're nuts. But it's true. And that's SB 9. And that's the type of project. Oh, by the way, no low income housing requirement whatsoever in the law. So the purported reason is to give us more housing, purportedly for lower costs, but there's no requirement for low income. So something's got to get fixed here. So how can we do that? Well, first of all, we can lobby. I think my predecessor would talk about my hands are tied. Yeah, if you tie your own hands, your hands are tied. And so we have a legislative lobbying policy that we will be reviewing again. We review it annually. We will review it again in March. And in it, starting in 2019, local control of our land use ordinances, the bullets associated with that were struck out. They were replaced with support state legislation that helps us meet our state housing goals, which sounds a lot more like state control to me. And so luckily or fortunately, when we reviewed the last time we reviewed it while I was a council member, I was able to restore the 2 local control bullets back that were taken out. I think we'll go even a step further this next time, because remember, we can lobby for anything we want to, and we need to get that lobbying policy updated. So our lobbyists that goes to Sacramento, that goes to Washington, mostly Sacramento, can be lobbying to restore control to local, because if you talk to most lawyers, zoning is the primary purview of the local jurisdiction, not the state. Its primary purview is with the local jurisdiction. We all hope to have community property rights, but quite a few of them have been taken away. So that's one thing we can do. Joining groups like Livable California, Catalyst. I've been members of these for several years now. I think we'll see more of the council members getting involved. League of California Cities. How many people are familiar with League of California Cities? Anybody heard of it? Yeah, it's a great organization. I've used it over the last 20 years as a resource. League of California Cities, if you read their original mission and charter, it's about local control, but they've somehow gotten off that. And so I would like to get involved in League of California Cities and see if we can use them to help rally other cities around the state, because more and more, as I talk to more and more of the mayors in San Diego County and even mayors all throughout the state, they're all saying the same thing I'm saying here. They're tired of it. And then there's things like supporting direct legislation propositions. So there's one that's been in the works for several years called Our Neighborhood Voices, OUR, neighborhoodvoices.org. Take a look at it. You'll see that that would basically return local control back to the local jurisdictions. So hopefully we can get that on the ballot in 2026. I think it's a statewide initiative, but we've had statewide initiatives passed before. If you remember back when the state was giving us IOUs for our sales tax, that was a state initiative that stopped that. And so hopefully we can do that here. I think this is a big enough issue. It deserves that kind of direct regulation. So local control, number one. Number two, reducing homelessness. And so there's quite a bit of things. I support all of the services we have been putting forward. I believe we need to offer services, but I also believe we need to increase enforcement and we need to enforce our laws. We've been fortunate in the last few months, last 6 months, I guess would be. First of all, Prop 36 passed. And how many people know what Prop 36 is? So it's basically a partial reversal of Prop 47. Prop 47 passed in, I think, 2014, and it decriminalized quite a lot of the behaviors, that's drug use and things like that. So it limited the ability of the sheriff to enforce. It limited the prosecution by the prosecutor. So therefore, why should you go arrest people? And so with Prop 36 back, I believe we'll see a reintroduction of things like drug court. Now, why is that important? Well, we've had some changes where the care court was a good example, but care court would provide treatment, but only voluntarily. What drug court does is it gives the judge the ability to assign treatment or jail time. And most people opt for treatment. And if they fail the treatment, then they go back to jail. And so there has to be that forcing function, that carrot and stick, I like to call it. Otherwise, you're not helping the people. They're just they're staying on drugs in homeless, the homeless portion. Obviously, there's quite a big variety of homeless. I think the public-private partnerships we have today for I'll call it the sober third, because it's about a third of the population, the homeless population are sober. They get their services. You do not see them out on our streets. When you're downtown and you see a homeless person, it's not one of the battered women. It's not juveniles typically. It's not families. It's not even people in their cars, right? Sober ones. It is typically somebody who has a drug problem coupled with a psychosis. One or the other, but most often both, whether it was one induced the other or the substance abuse induced psychosis. Those are the people we really need to focus on. Those are the people causing the problem and they need treatment. They need treatment. So there needs to be some compelling reason for them to get treatment. We've got the homeless action plan update coming in March. So I always enjoy getting those twice a year. And the new council will get a chance to go through the homeless action plan and see how it's working and maybe make improvements. And then we get a quarterly, and I think Captain Watts is on the call here, the quarterly sheriff's update. I think it's coming in March, which I always look forward to. It's a good chance to ask questions and get into the depth of the statistics. So that's local control, homelessness. Third one would be fixing basic infrastructure first. And so what do I mean when I say fix basic infrastructure? Pavement. I'm going to list them off, then I'll come back and do a little on each one. I'll try and be brief so I don't go on too long. Pavement, storm drain rehabilitation, Leucadia flooding. These are all, to me, basic infrastructure. I also add quiet zone. I'm a big supporter that we fix the quiet zone. Too many people in our city are impacted. Leucadia at-grade crossings, also basic infrastructure. We need to be able to safely cross the railroad tracks. I would say increased enforcement of traffic laws in particular is one I see that I think is gone beyond the tipping point, and we have not increased enforcement of traffic resources, I think in more than 10 years. And when I look back through the financial reports, we have another basic infrastructure, which would be the Fire Station 1 seismic replacement. So that's something that came up last year and we have to fix. And ultimately, if we can afford it, Fire Station 6 and Olevenheim, getting a permanent solution out there. So those are basic infrastructures. That's what cities do for a living, so to speak. That's what we owe. I'll talk about one, maybe two of them, so that I don't spend too much time. Pavement. You'll hear me talk about this all the time. We do a good thing in monitoring our pavement. We measure, it's called the PCI, Pavement Condition Index. And it goes from 0 to 100. And the goal has always been to be up at 80. We were at 73 about 10 years ago. We've been dropping steadily year after year, and we're at 69. Well, that tells me we're not funding enough, right? That the Transnet funding from the county and the HUTA and SB1 funding is insufficient. We probably need to push some of our general fund into that too, probably $1 million or $2 million a year, somewhere in that order. So we can stop that from going down and at least get it to go flat and hopefully start going back up some. So that's one area. The other area I would talk about is Leucadia flooding. And so I'm going to be out with staff this week. And have you seen that they're predicting an atmospheric river next week? And the report I saw today was up to 5 inches here.
Wow.
So if that happens, we need to be prepared and to avoid flooding. During last year in January, when we had the big rains, we had another similar big rain. We had gone through and put a pump at the undercrossing near Orpheus and blocked it off. So that water, instead of being routed north, was routed down to Moonlight. And they didn't even have to turn on the Leucadia Park pump that time. Yeah, it was a smaller rain, it was big, but not. So the plan is we're gonna be out there looking at putting two pumps, one by the Union Street and one up by where we had it last year, and pumping to Moonlight through a brand new 24-inch pipe that's been there, plenty of capacity. And I believe that will significantly reduce the flooding risk upstream. Obviously, if we get a 500-year storm, a lot of people are going to flood, but I can't control the weather. So those are the two I'll talk about. Then I want to talk a little bit about organizational changes within the city. And again, this is my goals. One of the things, and having 20 years of working with the city here, and I really see a change coming, and already, if not here, a lot of the staff, the directors, have a new attitude, and with our new city manager and all. One of the things that I look for when I've run my organizations in private sector is a culture of acknowledging your errors and working to fix them rather than trying to hide them. If anybody, any group, any organization that hides errors will repeat them. And any organization that rewards fixing problems will have problems. The goal should be to acknowledge if we make mistakes openly, not punish people for it, but ask people, ask the staff, ask the council, everybody, to have a culture of avoiding the errors, avoiding problems in the future, and figuring out why did we run into it, and let's fix it systemically. And so I've already seen it, and with some of the directors here, I really appreciate it. I think we have a good staff. I think we've got some openings where we'll be able to add more to the team. And that'll be great. The other area of improvement I've seen already is better interaction with residents and businesses. I know the sheriff, I'm going to pick on the sheriff in a good way. He's been running a program where I walked along. You've heard of ride-alongs. I did a walk-along. And with a group of deputies and Sheriff Watts, we walked to all the businesses in downtown, down one side, up the other. And he's doing this on a regular basis. I was driving downtown, saw the whole group down there doing it again the other day. And this is great because this increases the communication. So that kind of culture, but we want city staff to be that way in addition to the sheriffs. And the sheriffs are already doing it. So more spending time out in the community with the people. I'm always process focused. So once we decide how to fix a problem, you have to have procedures and policies. That's not something the council will get into. That's something that the management staff will take care of. And a service orientation, which is resident focused. So that's really the main focus. I think that's plenty for a year or so. But there are quite a few other issues, whether it's an ordinance about kratom and addressing some of the vape shops, as Kelly brought up to me. The pickleball noise, e-bike safety continues to be an important issue. So I think at that point, we'll open it up for questions. I'm sure you probably have issues that you'd like to talk about.
I think he's almost done. Basically, it's not all that interesting.
So somebody needs to mute, please.
Really.
So I just wanted to let everybody know we have about 10 minutes for Q&A. And then if the mayor would be so kind to stay a few minutes after the meeting,
Sure.
So then you can speak with him. So this way everybody can go ahead and get a turn. Yes.
What's the latest on the Fire Station 1? Are you back looking at Pacific View?
Yes. Yeah, and we haven't decided, but when we went through all the financial analyses, owning the land makes all the difference in the world. So, and it would be temporary.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
For like 5 years.
Yeah. So.
Is there gonna be any more attention given to El Camino Real corridor and New Encinitas?
No.
How so? I mean, we adopted the specific plan, although it was a very watered down specific plan. You mean like a streetscape? I don't think we can afford, what is called for on El Camino Real, even though we did this specific land, is really a streetscape treatment. The vision that was originally, and by the way, out of all the council members, old and new, I'm the only one that attended all but one of those meetings as a private citizen, as a planning commissioner, and then as a council member. So I'm very familiar with that vision.
You were
I
elected.
like the vision, but the tool chosen was the wrong tool. And so in the end, the specific plan that we adopted had some good things in it, but it was pretty watered down, would not accomplish what the vision was. The vision was more of a boulevard with separated bikeways, but that requires moving the concrete, moving the curbs. And then in the end, to save money and keep it within bounds, the rules all change. And there's no housing in it, which actually I think is probably a good thing. And the curbs don't move. We're part of the guidelines. Well, then you're pretty much stuck with the streetscape you got, yeah. So we added what we could, but it's so, no, I don't anticipate a lot of changing. And I'll say one other thing that I said at each one of those meetings. Some of the goals in set up for that are already in our general plan. Interconnecting all of the parking lots, that's in the general plan. And I know how difficult that is because when I was on planning commission the first time, I had to get a connection between the 477 medical building and the one to the north. It was pulling teeth to get that done. I tried to get both parking lots connected. The best I could do on the west parking lot was to lower it so that in the future you might be able to get a road between the two of them. But the upper one I got connected. I use that cut through all the time.
that come through.
Well, yeah, on both sides. I was just talking about the north.
On the north side, there's two.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it took a lot of work that was a different one.
And the city doesn't have anything to do with getting the merchants together in an association like they have downtown.
So
A merchants association like they have on the 101. Is there anybody doing anything about trying to make that happen on El Camino?
Oh, I thought the
You
main.
got
Like a
Home
Main
Depot,
Street
you got all-
Association, yeah.
I don't.
No.
We don't
I can
care.
answer that. The chamber
Yeah.
works with the businesses along the El Camino Real.
Yeah.
That's Sherry who's.
I think
Sherry Yardley speaking.
Yeah, I know. Sure.
Okay. I didn't know if you could see her. Oh, there she
Yeah,
is.
What'd you say?
Look at the dog.
Chamber
that
of
one.
Commerce,
It has to do with
El Camino Real.
with a lot of the corridor El Camino Real. Didn't the state kind of overtake a lot of the housing requirements and so forth for that area?
Well, the state passed, one of the many laws the state has passed, gives a by right ability for a commercial property owner under certain conditions, so much frontage, so much area, they can put in by right housing. And the better part of El Camino Real in the business district qualifies. But they also put in a prevailing fair wage requirement, which roughly doubles the cost of the development. So it's gonna be, I won't say unlikely, but it would be a very special case where that commercial district is really blighted, and we don't have that problem, right? We command good rents but conceivably a commercial owner could come in, apply for commercial by right. They could put in R30. I assume they could also do, maybe not, but density bonus to go above 30 units per acre. But it would be at least 30 units an acre is what they would qualify.
Correct.
Yes.
Hi, I'm Patrick Danforth, the Danforth Building downtown. It's been in our family for 85 years. It's on the corner of Coast Highway and E Street. And it's mixed use, commercial and residential upstairs. And we're concerned that fire station number 1 is closed and there's no fire department west of the 5 freeway or Coast Highway. So we're hoping that something can happen sooner than later. With recent fires, it scares us that.
Yeah.
How long would it take a fire department?
Yeah, because right now, for people that don't know, Fire Station 1 was closed due to seismic concerns. And it was rather sudden. And so to the crew at Fire Station 1 was moved up to Orpheus, whichever number that is. I don't even know the numbers that well, but 3? Okay, move to 3, which is on the other side of the railroad tracks, and that's the concern.
Next to.
How long would it take them to get down?
Yeah.
Town?
Which is why Tony and I were on a subcommittee before the election. And we were looking at various locations right downtown. Pacific View was the other location for a temporary fire station for Fire Station 1. That would be, think of it as a mobile living quarters unit plus a dual garage temporary structure. When we went through the cost retrofitting and getting a building even close to serviceable downtown and having to pay rent on top of it, the doing it on the open land at Civic View came in much cheaper. So it is moving forward since we had those meetings, since Tony and I were meeting. Staff is still working on it, and I think they've gotten a much better cost estimate that lowers the cost almost in half of what was previously proposed. And all, assuming we would use at that point Pacific View as a temporary site. So.
Good follow-up.
Sure.
I believe staff has an item coming to the council later this month or next month, early next month, to address your question with a possibility and resolution to your question.
Great.
Yeah, and for those of you, we should introduce Jim O'Hara, who's District 2 council member now. And also, I believe, Jim, aren't you on the subcommittee now for fire? Yeah, you and Joy are the subcommittee.
Yeah, we've been working hard with Chief Gordon in this process, and Jace, one of our staff members here at City Council City Hall rather, to facilitate the needs of the community with having a station downtown between now and when we decide a permanent residence for the firefighters. And working within that, we've been looking at call times at both decisions as far as where they are now, making sure that we're fitting those call times for safety purposes. And we're also looking at locations and costs, to Bruce's point. And all of those items are set to go to council. And I apologize for not knowing what date they're going to be on the agenda, but they are coming up on an agenda with a resolution I think everyone will be really happy with. I will say Chief Gordon has worked incredibly hard on this and done a great job working with staff.
Is the goal to replace Fire Station 1 with a brand new state-of-the-art thing? Because you said seismic issues, but not
So currently,
in hardcore.
currently we are in the process of establishing a temporary facility. From that discussion, we'll move on to the permanent facility. We are looking at properties and assets throughout the city and a formula to get the best outcome.
It might not be.
Not necessarily on the same.
Nothing has been decided
Okay.
in any regard with that. We have been focused on getting somebody down there first for safety purposes to address call times, to make sure that we are definitely where we want to be successful and helpful for our citizens first and foremost, and then moving from that process on.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. And so we have time. Oh,
I was just gonna add that, and of course, the locations you notice are downtown so that there are no crossings that have.
Right.
Correct.
I mean, the railroad track.
so I'll have time for 2 more questions. I'm gonna have Elena Thompson, and then I believe you both had a question. Oh, you didn't? Okay, so then we'll go to you and then we'll wrap up questions. So go ahead, Elena.
Yes, thank you. Thanks to the Chamber for hosting this, and Mayor Ehlers, congratulations again on your new position and the entire City Council. I was happy to hear that one of your priorities and your vision, Mayor Ehlers, is to reduce homelessness. And I think you're going to have a lot of support from the community based on what I'm seeing and hearing, both in the crime stats, calls for service, and certainly social media. I'm curious how you square reducing homelessness, why the CRC has a application in to actually expand their total operation in our downtown. And I think that's a concern for most of the business and residents in the downtown area. And you don't have to answer it in full right now, but it just seems paradoxical that we want to reduce one thing and then we're going to expand the capacity to serve at the same time. So thank you. Just a question, comment, both.
Well, you're gonna hear me use the term due process. That's something we owe both sides of every issue. And we will go through the public hearing for any expansion, and we will follow the rules and the laws and the due process and have a hearing. And so I can't tell you what they're proposing because I have not seen it. But that's why we do everything in public, and what was the old saying about, you shouldn't, if you don't like watching sausage or laws being made, sometimes it's not that pretty, but one thing you'll notice is that and I think my current council wants to do everything in the public forum. And so we may go a little longer some days. I'm sorry, we were there till 1 o'clock. We're gonna try and stop that. But you will hear the discussions because it's your right. It's called the Brown Act. It's the right way to do it anyways. Legislating is a public participation process. And it's a public process. So I can't answer your question in full, but I look forward to when it does get in front of the council on the agenda, and you'll hear all our views.
Thank you.
Thank
And we'll close with your question.
Yeah, it's a quick one. My name's Colleen and we live over by just South Hygeia area. So I appreciate all the efforts for the flooding that's been going on. Totally different question though. Can you direct me to where I can find more information about this apartment complex? I was surprised when you brought it up.
Are you talking about Quail Gardens Drive?
Well, no, you had mentioned it on your agenda as far as the zoning. You said it was would be the largest.
That's on Quail Gardens.
Oh, it is
Drive.
on
Yeah, it's
so
called
it would.
Quail Meadows Apartment.
Okay.
And it's just off of, it's about half a block in from, across from Christine Court on Quail Meadows. And,
Okay.
yeah.
And I guess a follow-up.
But, and the information is all available on the website for the next city council meeting on the 12th.
Okay.
The agenda is all posted with all the drawings and more information.
Yeah, I'll be interested in looking at that. Thank you. I assume they plan out for traffic as far as, because I mean, Quail Gardens.
I'll be careful because I
I'm
want to
trying
be
to give
careful.
them benefit of the
Well,
doubt.
again, because of the Brown Act, because we have an agendized item in front of us,
Mhm.
this discussion will occur there, talking about the traffic. There is a traffic study posted on the agenda.
Okay.
That the
Roundabout.
developer
Yeah.
commission.
Okay. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm sure like most of you are aware, and again, maybe I'm just and this is why I'm in government affairs, kind of a government affairs geek, is I love agendas because when they get put out, you have the staff reports, you have all the background, you have so much information and the points of contact if you want to have more information. So yeah, I always recommend anybody who wants to learn more about what's going on in the city, just take a few moments and look at the agendas, really get familiar with it. It's just an absolute great resource. So.
And one last comment, drawing back to the local control, is that the legislature basically in the state took away EIR CEQA. They exempted this project from CEQA. So
Okay.
So there are certain things that have happened at the state level that affect what we take our control away.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you working for that
Yes.
very much.
So thank you
Yeah.
so much.
Afterwards.
Yeah.
Danny Salsandler, Cardiff by the freeway. If you got any idea what's going on with North County Transit, the northbound Birmingham exit, they've got a construction trailer and they cleared brush and they got one of those construction grades to drive over.
NCTD.
No one's from the city seem to know what it is.
NCTD.
They built 3-story apartments right there to block my highway noise. So you get any idea what that is? There's a construction trailer been there for like 6 months.
Is it an NCTD or
Yes,
Caltrans?
they got yeah, it is.
No idea.
Apparently, they don't have to clear anything.
Jim's our rep for NCTD.
So, I'm not aware of that, but, I am the North County Transit District representative for the city, on the board of directors. And, if you email it to me, a photo, I'll send it over to our CEO at NCTD and get the information I can get.
3-story apartments right there.
I'm gonna get you the story, let's show them
I'll take-
first, then you can come back.
Thank you, I'll do that.
All right.
Great, yes. Thank you. And thank you so much, Mayor, for taking the time this morning. This has been great. And so now we're gonna just briefly do some legislative updates.
Bree,
Yes, yes.
can I just interrupt real quickly? I just want to take a quick photo. So can everyone in the room look at the screen, and everyone on the screen, if you could turn on your cameras right quick so I could take the photo and then you can continue on. And by the way, in the room, I can only see from Bill on. I can't see anybody sitting next to Bill, so sorry. Okay, time for photo.
They're hiding.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna go through our legislative updates, and so we'll get them going, and everybody has around roughly 2 minutes. So I don't see anybody from Congressman Levin's office unless I'm missing.
Hi there, I'm Julie from Rep. Levin's office, joining virtually. Nice to meet you all. I'll start by sharing that Congressman Levin was sworn in for a 4th term as a member of the 119th Congress, representing California's 49th Congressional District in January, and he looks forward to continuing to build on his successful record of passing over 30 bipartisan bills and bringing over $1 billion back into the district. He will continue to tackle top priorities in the district of bringing down the cost of living, expanding sand replenishment efforts, and addressing spent nuclear fuel at San Onofre, also protecting our coastal rail corridor and bringing federal resources back home. Additionally, he will continue working on legislation to protect Social Security and Medicare, improve the lives of veterans, and tackle climate change. As his day one bill, he reintroduced the bipartisan Prevent Family Fire Act of 2025, and this will promote gun safety and reduce gun violence, including suicide and accidental shootings, by providing a modest tax credit for retailers to incentivize the sale of safe storage devices for firearms. And so family fire refers to a shooting caused by someone who had unauthorized access to a gun that was unsafely stored. And this credit is equal to 10% of cost at sale, with the maximum of $40 per device sold. And I'm also very excited to share that Congressman Levin was appointed by the House Democratic Caucus to serve on the House Appropriations Committee, which is responsible for distributing federal resources to districts across the country for important local projects. He is the only member from San Diego and Orange counties on the House Appropriations Committee. And more specifically, he is serving on the Energy and Water Development Subcommittee and the Military Construction and Veteran Affairs Subcommittee. And the Energy and Water Development Subcommittee has funding jurisdiction over Army Corps of Engineers, the Departments of Energy and the Interior, and energy and water resource projects across the country. The Military Construction and Veteran Affairs Subcommittee has funding jurisdiction over the Department of Veterans Affairs, military construction projects, and both these subcommittees oversee and distribute funding to very crucial priorities and institutions in the 49th District, including Camp Pendleton, sand replenishment efforts, nuclear waste removal, and protecting our rail corridor. The congressman was also selected to serve as the chair of the Committee on Caucus Rules for the 119th Congress, and they are responsible for evaluating and recommending changes to Democratic caucus rules to best enhance the effectiveness and diversity of the House Democratic Caucus. The congressman reintroduced his bipartisan Purple Hearts Veterans Education Act to ensure transfer of benefits to dependents. And this bill will close a loophole that prevents veterans and their family members from accessing benefits, and will allow Purple Heart recipients to transfer any unused educational assistance from the GI Bill to their dependents, regardless of when they received the honor. Lastly, this morning, Rep. Levin reintroduced the Bipartisan Spent Fuel Prioritization Act, and this will prioritize the removal of spent nuclear fuel from decommissioned nuclear fuel sites in areas with large populations, high seismic hazards, and where the continued storage of spent nuclear fuel poses a national security risk. And so that concludes all my updates. If you ever need assistance with the federal agency, please don't hesitate to contact our office. Thank you all.
Environmental Quality Committee, which is very important on sea level rise, pollution. Our plastic bag ban last year has been recognized across the country as a model, and she'll be continuing environmental work. Hopefully there will be another subcommittee on the low sand rail corridor. That subcommittee has to be established through the Transportation Committee. But that's
Low
obviously very
sound?
important for
You said
rail
low
service.
sound or low
Low
sound?
sand, which is Los Angeles to San
Oh,
Diego.
okay.
We all know that there's challenges with the railway, the coast, so there's going to be a lot of discussion about that in the coming years. She's on the Budget and Fiscal Review Committee, the Budget Subcommittee specifically for Resources and Environment and Protection and Agency, Energy, and on the Governmental Organization Committee, which is looking at laws that already exist and how they might be streamlined, things like that. Her annual report's available now if you'd like to see what's been done in the last 2 years. She has another 2 years to serve before her next term. And there are 3 bills that I'd like to bring to your attention because I think they're important to our area. The deadline for bills is February 21st. If you have any suggestions or recommendations, there's a section on our website, or you can just call our office with your ideas. One is regarding the housing density bonus laws. A lot of you may have heard what happened in Pacific Beach, where there's a very large building planned that is mostly hotel rooms. And then they used the density bonus laws to get a lot of hotel rooms and put some affordable housing in and doubled the density bonus laws. She has submitted a Bill 92 that would require developers that use those incentives to provide housing in those other units. It wouldn't necessarily mean that building wouldn't be there, but it would be providing housing, which is what those density bonus laws are intended to do. She also introduced Senate Bill 99 to expand access for childcare for military families. This is really important in our district. As you know, there are a lot of military families all the way along the coast, and it's very difficult to find childcare for military families and for other families. But a lot of military families actually are certified by the Department of Defense to provide family childcare for military families. When they move to California right now, they're required to get a California license on top of that. And it's a tremendous disincentive for these very small businesses to go through all this red tape. So SB 99 would allow them, if they're already certified by the Department of Defense, which has very strict guidelines, to go ahead and open childcare facilities that will serve military families. They still have to meet all the California regulations for childcare. What that does is give jobs to military spouses, who are frequently the people providing this childcare, offer more childcare for military families, and open up slots for non-military families in those childcares that those kids had been in. So it's a win-win all around, and it really is a step of taking bureaucracy out of a place where it isn't doing any good. Lastly, a very important bill for our community, which tends to have a lot of seniors and is aging rapidly. SB 242 would improve access to healthcare for seniors by having an annual sign up for original Medicare. Right now, when you sign up for Medicare, you have to choose whether you're going on original Medicare and Medigap, or you go on a Medicare Advantage plan. And then once you've done that, it's very difficult to get back into original Medicare without a full health review. This law would make an annual process, just like the who have commercial health insurance have an annual renewal process where they can switch back to original Medicare, being charged more for pre-existing conditions. Couple quick things for the community. We have a Women Who Inspire application process going on right now. You can nominate a woman in our community who works and lives in District 38 for the Women Who Inspire program. All the nominees will be recognized. We're looking for people who are outstanding in their work, in their volunteerism, in their service to the community. And we also have a California book club that happens quarterly. It's really interesting to read books about California with a group of people from all over the district who have really different perspectives. And it's a way of looking at California through a literary lens, which often provides common space for us to talk about things, even if we have really different opinions. So I encourage you to sign up. Our next book is called Wild and Precious Life. It's written by a California mother whose daughter had terminal brain cancer, and what end of life options look like for somebody in that situation and how it affected their family. The previous one was a really wonderful book called California Against the Sea, which was about climate change and its impact on our coastline. And the one before that was called The Associates, about the railroads and how they were built in California historically you'll see some really interesting parallels between the rail barons and tech barons of today. It was a fascinating book, so we really welcome you to join. Lastly, I encourage you to call our office if you have any state issues, the DMV, EDD, back wages, they're being held at the state. We recently were able to help a gentleman get $17,000 in wages from construction jobs that had been held in trust for him at the state, and he simply didn't know how to access those funds. So we're there to help and there to answer any questions you may have.
Great, thank you, Diana. So I know like we're running a little bit behind, so if people have to leave by exactly 10 o'clock, I completely understand. And then also, legislative representatives, they'll be here, I'm sure, a few minutes afterwards, so then they can take all of your questions then. So right now, we're just gonna go through the updates. And thank you, Diana, really appreciate that. So now we'll move to Assembly Berner's office.
All right, good morning, everyone. Session in Sacramento is back in full effect and the assembly member is staying busy. Just a reminder and a heads up that all the bills must be introduced by February 21st. That is the bill introduction deadline. So far, the assembly member has introduced 5 bills. She has introduced AB 86, which would ensure that there's standardized health education materials for grades K through 8 across the state. She has also introduced AB 87, which is the clarification of density bonus law. And this bill states that it is the intent of the legislature to ensure the density bonus law is only applied to residential projects. It's currently a spot bill and more substantial language is being developed currently for the bill. She also introduced AB 353, which would mandate that internet service providers make affordable home internet plans available to California residents. That is also another spot bill at the moment, so more substantial language will be developed. She's reintroducing her blue carbon projects in coastal development bill this year. The number is AB 399. And as you probably already know, the bill would authorize the California Coastal Commission to add blue carbon demonstration projects to suite of factors it considers for potential mitigation when approving coastal development permits. And lastly, there is AB 86. Oh, actually, I already went over that one. Sorry, it's AB 242, which is Duchenne muscular dystrophy. And this bill would require the Department of Public Health to expand statewide screening for newborns to include screening for Duchenne muscular dystrophy as soon as possible. The rest of the bills for the legislative package will be coming out as the deadline nears this month. And then lastly, Assembly Speaker Rivas has appointed committee memberships for the session for 2025 to 2026. The Assembly member will be remaining as the chair of Communications and Conveyance Committee. She's also continuing to be a member of the Higher Education Committee and Public Employees Retirement Committee. 2 new committees that she is a member of is the Utilities and Energy Committee and Water, Parks, and Wildlife Committee. And that concludes my report.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now I'm going to introduce Cipriano from Supervisor Lawson Reamer's office.
Yes, good morning, everybody. My name is Cipriano Vargas. Real quick, at the last Board of Supervisors meeting, the supervisor, along with Supervisor Anderson, the board letter to expand resources for firefighters. So making sure that we expand brush management, purchase more standards for frontline workers, and making sure that we have access to the dual-twin helicopter for situations that may.
Cipriano, we're having trouble hearing you. Can you speak up a little?
Yeah, I'll speak up. So I was stating that the supervisor approved the champion and board letter along with Supervisor Anderson to make sure that we have more resources for our firefighters, which include the brush management, helicopter, and tenders for those frontline workers. Secondly, we have the implementation of SB 43. And so making sure people have those mental health resources. We've been working with the budget collaborative partners, over 200 trainings that have been done both for some of the law enforcement, healthcare providers, and frontline workers that support and deal with homelessness in our community. The supervisor also announced about 25 plus applications for Prop 1 funds. And so this is over $580 million that could potentially come to San Diego County to expand mental health services to those that, are in-house dealing with mental health across the region. Also, at the last Board of Supervisors, she approved an additional crisis stabilization unit. This is in Chula Vista. So once again, making sure that we're beefing up and adding more resources as it relates to mental health and making sure that we're expanding that. And as you know, the county Board of Supervisors, under the leadership of Dr. Berg Movement, will continue to work on this issue, making sure that they're working in upstream solutions to make sure people are, getting these resources before the crises do happen. And lastly, we do have a Board of Supervisors meeting tomorrow morning, so I will provide those updates at the next Board of Supervisors meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cipriano. Really appreciate that. Jennifer, did you want to add any updates for the city?
Oh, I'm Lois.
Oh, sorry. I'm sorry.
No updates from the city. Mayor Ehlers did a wonderful job.
Okay, great. And updates. Thank you. Joe, is there any updates from SDG&E?
No, but I'll stick around if anybody has any questions after.
Okay, wonderful. And then do you have any education updates?
No, we're just working hard to do everything we can to keep our children safe right now.
So you're basically spinning a lot of plates, herding cats and trying to stay sane. Got it. Yes. And then from our sheriff's department, wanted to see if there's a public safety update. Can't tell if they're there.
Yeah, Lieutenant Mike Davis with our North Coastal Sheriff Station covering Captain Watts' out of the county. So we're continuing to focus that community engagement as we meet with our various, the chamber, the Main Street, our various HOAs as we're out in the communities, focusing on those quality of life issues like the mayor had touched on earlier. Prop 36, we are enforcing those narcotics related and theft related offenses that Prop 36 has enabled, and those offenses are being charged as felonies. They are required to see a judge, which is holding them in custody. So while I don't have the statistics with me, we are enforcing those Prop 36 laws, and we are seeing some positive ground in that and repeat offenders for certain theft related and narcotics related crimes. Individuals with at least 2 prior convictions, they become eligible for these new Prop 36 offenses. So on that front, we are enforcing those, and that's all I have from the sheriff.
Great, thank you so much. Yeah, but where's Maricosta? Oh, an update from Maricosta? No. Okay. Okay, so there you are. Hello. Can we get an update from Maricosta?
Absolutely. Good afternoon. This is Kristen Gonzalez, and I'm here with my esteemed colleague, Dean Dr. Al Tacone from Mid-Costa College. Our enrollment is up this year, this semester. Things are going as planned. We started the semester, we're in our 3rd week, so we're moving forward. We welcome the community to come to our sites during the farmers market on Saturdays. And we will be having several more events happening, and looking forward to inviting folks to our house. Anytime that you want to stop by for a visit, we'd be more than happy to show you around.
Great, wonderful, Kristen. Thank you so much. And then I'd just like to ask either Sherry or Richard if there's a quick update from the chamber. I don't know if you're still on, just how the Zoom is. I can't. There you go.
I'm here.
Okay.
We do have this Saturday, the Community Resource Expo. It is at the Community Center from 10 to 2. We hope to see you all there. It is a great way to get to know some of the businesses in the community and connect with some resources. And again, I apologize for not being in the room, but I don't think you want me there. I've been coughing a lot.
Yes, poor thing.
It is a free event.
Yes, it's a free
yes, thank you. It's a free event. So,
and the Historical Society will be there.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
So will the
Well,
grammar school.
yeah. Well, I just want to thank everybody for joining today. I love seeing the amount of humans that have come to the meeting, because this meeting really is about getting engaged, having the opportunity to connect either with your, the local legislature, the local elected officials, and being able to ask the questions that, you'd like to have answers to. So really appreciate everybody's time. Our next meeting is scheduled for April 3rd. So this meeting happens every other month. So April 3rd, same time, same place. Hope to see some familiar faces there. And I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you.